Good morning, Dreamhouse Nation. James Lewis of TDH. Joining us today is the Bellator Bantamweight Champion, Raufeon Stots. Raufeon, thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, no problem, man.
We are excited. Bellator 289, Stots versus Laipply. What do you think? Friday, December 9th, 2022 from Connecticut. What do you think? Tell us about it.
Yeah, man. Well, I'm excited about the fight. It'll be the semifinals of a Grand Prix $1 million tournament. And, I'm fighting Danny Sabatella. I'm sorry. I've been calling him Daniela Sabatella for a while. It should be a good fight for me. I don't feel like this guy deserves to be in there with me, but he has advanced to the semifinals of the tournament, so he gets a chance to get beat up by me. So I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's had a lot of not nice things to say, heck, even during your all's press conferences. So I can understand why you'd want to beat the heck out of him.
Yes, sir. We've been kind of chatting back and forth for a while now, too. You know, I think we started back in September or something, when the fight was announced. And he's got a lot to say, like always, and I got a lot to say, like always. So I think our two personalities are just like coming to a head, and we're ready to hurt each other.
Definitely. Except for the main difference is you have a history of backing up your talk.
Exactly. That's exactly it. I got a history of actually hurting people. So he's got a history on laying and kind of cuddling with people. So I'm looking forward to the fight. I don't think the fight will be as exciting as the trash talk between us because again, he's not very he doesn't back it up very well. He talks about carving up my face and things like that, but he's done that to nobody. So I'm excited. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if you have a track record, you have a history of doing something, you have a history of finishing people early, then yeah, they'll of course say that you're going to do that and go ahead and do it. But don't say it if that's not what you're known for.
Yeah, exactly. Like what he's talking about doing is something that he's never done before. So he's got to do something that he's never done before against somebody who's frankly better than everybody you face. So not only you got to do something you've never done it before, you got to do something you've never done before against the best competition you've had thus far. I think that's a tall task to ask of anybody. So, I'm excited to prove to him that, he's all talk and he's not invincible. And, you can't talk your way into winning a fight.
How does it feel to be the Bellator Bantamweight World Champion?
Man, it feels great, I feel like I think about that, but I don't think about that a lot during like fight camp and like the build up and even the fight. Like I wasn't thinking about being champion. I'm thinking about beating these guys, and I'm focused on these guys. But it's like a nice to take that breath and sit back and look back and being like, man, I'm a world champion. I'm the best in the world in my division in Bellator, and it's just like. It's just a proud thing that I can, show my kids and show my wife and show my family. It's a proud thing, you know what I mean? I just feel proud of myself.
I was going to say, being in the top MMA organization in the world, Bellator, and being the champion of that, I mean, it doesn't get much better than that.
Exactly. Like, this is what when I stepped into MMA, this was one of the dreams I had, is being a world champion, to be the best in the world. And I accomplished it, you know what I mean? So that in itself is pretty satisfying, just from a career standpoint, like it's pretty cool.
Now, I think you just answered this question, but I'm going to ask it again anyway. You recently celebrated 7 years in the sport of MMA. Has all the work, sweat, and time been worth it?
I was just talking to my wife maybe like a month ago about this, and I was like, you know what? I can now say, after winning the championship, like, hey, all this was worth it. All the blood, sweat, and tears, all of me working 2-3 jobs to make ends meet, putting my family kind of through a financial strain, having to move from state to state, late night, early mornings, all of those, like they paid off, and I'm happy I'm in the position I am.
That is awesome. And then, of course, you don't get into that type of position without having a great place to train. Where do you do your training?
Yeah, so right now I'm training at it's called Thug U, run by Eve Edwards, and also O Athletic with Team Fight Metro.
Nice. And then tell us a little bit about your coaches.
Yeah, so I have Coach Eve Edwards. He is my he's a former UFC champion or former UFC fighter, a legend in the sport. And then I also have Eric Nixick, who's a coach at Extreme Couture. He helps me with like game plans, and he comes down and helps me with camp. And also I have Coach Phil, who's my strength and conditioning coach. So I got a pretty good team around me.
Now, of course, you had the great background in wrestling, but how have your coaches helped you to become a well-rounded MMA fighter?
You know what? I actually accredit. So before I moved here, I moved to Houston about a year ago, and I accredit a lot of my stand-up skills and my base actually at stand-up and jiu-jitsu from Rufus Sport. I had amazing coaches at Coach Duke Rufus, Scott Cushman, that really helped develop my game, developed around my wrestling, to be kind of a well-rounded fighter. I also had I'm a BJJ brown belt under Daniel Wanderlei, and that's under the Carlson Gracie lineage. And I was able to develop, good submission game, good top control, bottom grappling. And I was able to develop a lot of that at Rufus Sport. Now I'm just like honing the skills, adding new things, kind of with different coaches. Because of the situation, I was possibly gonna have to fight my teammate Sergio Pettis, so I had to kind of move camps because of that, and because of me moving to Houston. But yeah, I credit a lot of my skills to Rufus Sport.
Nice. I know what you mean. Sometimes there's a conflict of interest that arises, or sometimes you just need to move for the family. So, I mean, there's all kinds of reasons why, people change gyms. It's not always a bad thing. It's not always a disagreement. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely not a bad thing. And I still appreciate, I love those guys at Rufus Sport. I love Sergio. Like, we're all like boys. It was just like a kind of a business thing. And then also we had a second kid. So it was like more beneficial for me to kind of move to Houston. So it's definitely no bad blood between me and Rufus Sport. They understand my position. I understand their position. And that's just what it is.
So who are some of your current training partners?
Yeah, so I'm currently training with Adrian Yanez, who's a top-ranked UFC bantamweight. And then I got Cameron Smotherman, who's probably the most exciting fighter around here in Houston, Texas. Also Matt Snell, who's another UFC top-ranked flyweight. I also have Jacob Silva, Cameron Graves. It's kind of long list of high level athletes.
That is amazing. It's always good to have top quality people around you, because iron sharpens iron, I understand.
Yes, sir. It surely does.
And of course, speaking of a place where you had great people around you, the University of Nebraska, I understand that I know at least one of your teammates has also went on and had a great MMA career. Yeah, I trained at I went wrestling at the same school that Kamaru Usman went to for wrestling. And, there's a couple different athletes. We also won. I was a two-time national champion there, with TJ Hepburn, Josh Smith, a couple of other MMA fighters. And, it was a great place for me to be, actually. Definitely. Wasn't Ramiro also there?
Also, Romero Cotton. Yeah, Romero Cotton was also there. I wrestled with him I think it was my junior and senior year.
Nice.
Actually, no, my senior year. Just my senior year.
Yeah,
He's a 4-time national finalist, 3-time three-time champion. So yeah, I can't believe I forgot Ro.
No worries, it happens. I was going to say he's a phenomenal athlete and great guy. We've had him and his brother on the show, and it has always been great.
Yeah, Frog, I love those guys. I've talked to them often too, so it's funny I forgot.
So I understand that you have a birthday coming up. How are you going to celebrate it?
I do got a birthday coming up, I didn't even think about it. I'm going to get horchata at this local spot. I'm going to get horchata till I drop. That's my birthday plan.
Nice. Scott Coker is a very controversial figure in some circles. What's your opinion of him?
I got nothing but good things to say about Scott. I've met him a couple times now, and every time, he's been nice. He's been, professional. I don't have any relationship with him kind of outside of MMA, but from what I know, he seems like a cool dude.
Definitely. The reason why I bring him up is another wrestler or MMA fighter with a wrestling background, Logan Storley. After he won his championship, Scott was talking about how wrestlers just laid on people, and I'm like, that ain't right.
Yeah. I think I've seen that interview. And some of the interviews with Scott, Scott is thinking from a promoting standpoint, I feel. And the fact of the matter is, wrestlers don't really bring, the general fan. The general fan doesn't really like, grappling with no end, and I think it's hard to promote just grappling with no end. If there's not punches or submissions, or kind of action, the general fan isn't as excited about the fight. So I think that's kind of where he's coming from. He probably could have worded it a little better, but I think that's what he was getting at.
So in other words, you're saying fans are bigger fans of fights with finishes as opposed to sometime with wrestling where it goes the distance.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's just like a natural thing, I think, fans are gravitated toward, they just don't want to see anybody just, holding on and barely making it. They want to see exciting, drastic changes in momentum. They want to see drastic changes in fight ending sequences. That's just naturally what people want to see. And when I say I mean the general fan, which there's more of the general fan than there are kind of high level fans, I would call them, who understand the nuances and what's going on within the fight. So yeah, and you got to feed the masses, I feel. So yeah, that's kind of what I mean.
I was going to say, I don't mean to rub salt in it, but I have the Bellator website pulled up, and they don't have you listed as the champion. How does that make you feel?
Yeah, well, that's because I'm the interim champion. Sergio Pettis is the actual champion, but because we couldn't fight because he got hurt, I'm the interim champion. I mean, I'm not, to be honest with you, the champion status is cool, but I'm really here to support for my family. So I'm really about what the champion status brings. Of course it brings good feelings to me, I feel proud and things like that to have it. But yeah, I'm happy where I'm at. I'm happy with kind of everything that's going on. If I'm not listed on the website, I don't feel like that takes the paycheck out of my bank account. So I'm not. That doesn't really bother me too much.
Exactly. So in other words, it didn't hurt your feelings or anything like that. You were just more focused on your fights and defending your belt.
Yes, sir.
That is awesome. Well, before we let you go, where on social media, where on the web, where can we find out more about you?
Yeah, you can reach me at Raufeon Stots, one word, on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok even. And then also Raufeon Stots on Facebook.
Awesome. And then, of course, our listeners are going to be tuning in on Friday, December 9th, Bellator 289. Looks like it's going to be a great fight. Now, you're saying it's going to be a one-sided fight, but either way, it's still worth tuning in because if your match doesn't go that long, hopefully Liz will have an exciting fight as well.
Exactly. You're exactly right.
Well, thank you for joining us today.
No problem. Thank you.
Appliance Factory and Mattress Kingdom has products in stock and available to take home today. With 5 stores and almost 40 years in business, they are Ohio's appliance experts, and they help you to get the right product at the right price with a huge inventory. You can save 30 to 60% every day on everything from Bosch and Viking to LG, GE, and KitchenAid at unbeatable savings and in stock. Plus, Mattress Kingdom inside Appliance Factory has everything from Tempur-Pedic and Sealy, Stearns & Foster, and DreamCloud mattresses in stock. Stop by any one of Appliance Factory and Mattress Kingdom's 5 Ohio locations today or visit online at appliancefactory.com.
Good morning, Dreamhouse Nation. James Lewis of TDH. We are excited to have Bernie Olivas from the Sun Bowl. Bernie, thank you for joining us today.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for calling.
So what is the Sun Bowl?
The Sun Bowl, well, that's a tough question or an easy question. Sun Bowl is an organization that's been around since 1934, and we put on obviously a postseason college football game. We're the second oldest bowl game in the nation, only behind the Rose Bowl. Actually, we are tied for the second oldest because the Sugar Bowl and the Orange Bowl and the Sun Bowl were all played on the same day on January 1st, 1935. So we've been around for a while and continue. Hopefully 89 years now, and hopefully we'll be around for 89 more.
Nice. So in other words, there's a rich tradition. There's a rich history there. I know this is going to be a tough question. It's like asking someone their favorite kid, but do you have a favorite game?
Oh, you're right. You're right. But there are some that really stand out. We're out here in El Paso. We've been around here, for a long time. We're stuck out here on the far west Texas, far away from everybody. But I guess the biggest game that ever come to El Paso was in 2010. When Notre Dame came to El Paso and played a great game against Miami. And that one stands out, but we've had some other great games. Texas, North Carolina in 1994, Oklahoma State, West Virginia in, I think it was 1987. I've been around for a while, but there's a lot of great games. But seeing the Fighting Irish, come down, run out the tunnel, especially when El Paso is about, I would say 92% Catholic, I would think. That was a big win for El Paso and for the Sun Bowl.
That is awesome. How do you decide who plays in the Sun Bowl?
Well, as like all the other bowls that are being played, almost all of us have contracts with certain conferences. So our contract is with the Pac-12 from the West Coast, and we have the Atlantic Coast Conference, obviously on the East Coast, and we get the 5th place pick out of the Pac-12, and then we're in a pool out of the ACC. So most of the teams we get here are contractual, and once the season is over and the CFP makes their selections, then we go down in order as to, okay, who's next? Okay, the Rose Bowl gets this, and then the Alamo gets to pick their team, and then the Holiday Bowl, and then Las Vegas, and then we pick from the teams that are still available after those things are selected. On the ACC, it works just a little bit different, but pretty much the same way. The Orange Bowl normally gets a champion if it's not in the playoffs, and then you have the Citrus Bowl, and you have the Holiday Bowl, and the Gator Bowl are in a pool, and then we're in a pool with the Pinstripe Bowl of New York, and the Duke's Mayo Bowl out of Charlotte, and then us, and then we see who is available from that pool, and it's a little process that we use, but I think everybody winds up with teams that they would like to have playing in their game.
That is awesome. So it sounds like it's kind of like a draft.
Pretty much. And, to be honest with you, the selection order is pretty much based on the team payouts. Who pays, what bowl pays more. If you pay more to the teams, well, you get a higher selection. And that's how we do it. In other words, Alamo pays more than we do, but they pay more than the Holiday in Vegas, and then we pay the next amount. So that's pretty much the way it works.
Okay.
All across the country amongst all the other bowls.
Yeah, it goes to the highest bidder.
There you go.
Nice. So when is the Sun Bowl?
This year, the Sun Bowl is on December 30th at 2 o'clock Eastern Time. We are normally a New Year's Eve game. That's our traditional game, is on New Year's Eve. But, the CFP playoff semifinals were moved to that date. And regardless of what great matchup we might have, it's hard to go against the national semifinals. So CBS, our broadcast sponsor, we moved it to that Friday, December 30th at noon, which is probably the second best day to have a college football. You know, college football Saturdays, that's when it all happens. But I think Friday's the next best day. So we're looking forward to finding out who's going to play in our game, and we'll kick it off on December 30th.
Definitely. I was going to say our nearby team, the University of Cincinnati, they play on Friday once a year, and I always love those games. I think that's a lot of fun. It makes it a very exciting game being on Friday, so it's kind of a nice throwback or nod to high school.
Exactly, and it kind of it kind of stands you out. You're not competing against all the other 75 games that are being played on Saturday, so it kind of sets you out there so people can watch.
So where is the best place for the Dreamhouse Nation to watch the Sun Bowl?
You know, we are also another feather in our cap that we have been on CBS Network for 54 consecutive years. We are the second longest running show on this program on the same network, second only to the Masters. The Masters has been on CBS longer than we have, and we've been on now 54 consecutive years on CBS. And like I said, of the 43 bowls that are being played, nobody can say that. So that is the best way to watch it. Is just turn on your TVs, and you don't need cable, you don't need satellite, you just need rabbit ears, and get CBS, and you'll be able to watch the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl,
Nice.
On December 30th.
That is awesome. Now, I was going to ask a silly question: where is the Sun Bowl played? But of course, the Sun Bowl is obviously played at Sun Bowl Stadium, I'm guessing.
Yes, it is. Sun Bowl Stadium was built, the game itself began on January 1, 1934, and the original game was played at a high school field. The first three games were played there. Then it moved on to the campus of University of Texas at El Paso, which was Texas Western. And then through a bond election, it was voted on to build a Sun Bowl Stadium, and that was opened in 1963. And that is still where it's being played, in the Sun Bowl Stadium. It's a beautiful setting. It's been called one of the best settings in college football. It was blasted right out of the middle of the mountains, so it sits right in the middle of the mountains, and it's a beautiful setting. It's if you look west from the press box, you see Mexico or New Mexico, and if you look south, you see Mexico. We're we're very close to the border here, or to the crossing. We are on the border. So that's where it's playing. We're out here in far west Texas, but it's a beautiful stadium. It's a beautiful setting, and the Sun Bowl Stadium is one of the best venues, to watch a college football game.
That is awesome. I mean, an amazing historical stadium with such a great tradition. The games that have been played there over the years have been so historic. Where is the best place for the Dreamhouse Nation to buy tickets if they want to go down there and see it live?
Oh, well, like I said, there's three ways here locally. Well, there's three ways if you're not here. Maybe there's two ways, but obviously you can come to our office here at the Sun Bowl office, and we're located pretty close to the stadium, and that's at 4150 Pinnacle Street, right here about a mile north of the Sun Bowl Stadium. Other than that, you can go to Ticketmaster. Just go to Ticketmaster, type in Sun Bowl, and you'll be able to buy tickets, or you can go to our website, which is at www.sunbowl.org, and purchase tickets through there. So there's various ways to get them, or you can just show up at the ticket office, at the box office on game day, and probably find some tickets there as well.
That is awesome. So what other events happened the week of the Sun Bowl?
Well, obviously for the, El Paso has started this tradition called Winterfest, where downtown is bright with lights every night, and it started last Saturday, and it goes through in the new year, and there's all kinds of fun and games, and we have an outdoor skating rink out there, and there's music, there's food, there's entertainment, and it started last Friday all the way through New Year's. But as far as Sun Bowl events, obviously the football teams are treated like royalty. We have several events for the football players, including one that where our local fans or anybody can actually mingle with the football players. And we have this event at Topgolf, and I think everybody knows what Topgolf is. And people can buy a spot in one of the bays, and that's where the football players come. They can actually be hitting golf balls with the players for about 3 hours. And that is a great event. It's really the only event where the community can actually be, mingle with the football players, and a lot of people like that. Other than that, we do have for the players a trip to Fort Bliss Army Base, which is one of the largest Army bases in the world. We have about 35,000 soldiers there, and they spend an afternoon there with the soldiers, looking at getting into their static equipment like tanks and Blackhawks and Apache helicopters, and doing simulators and firing some of the military weapons. It's a great opportunity for the players, and it kind of lets them see what El Paso is all about. We also take them out to a ranch, which is about 30 miles outside of El Paso, for one of the best steaks they'll ever eat. It's called Calvin Steakhouse, and that cowgirl steak that they eat, the cowboy steak they eat, is a 2-pound steak with all the trimmings, and it's a huge setting. Have a lot of wildlife out there, and a lot of movie settings. A lot of movies have been shot out there in cattlemen's. So there's a lot of activities that are happening for the football teams. But then we have, I guess, the big one for everybody is the Fan Fiesta, which happens tonight, the day before the game, at the Convention Center, which is free of charge, and it's highlighted by the Battle of the Bands. Both school bands and cheerleaders will perform there, battling it out to see who's got the best band. But aside from that, it's a 5-hour party, again, with food and entertainment and games and things to do. It's a pretty active week all around El Paso, during Sun Bowl week, between Christmas and New Year's. Like I said, I highly recommend anybody who wants to go leave the cold north to come down to sunny El Paso. We'd love to welcome you all in and have a good time.
Exactly. Oh my gosh, it sounds amazing. I was going to say I'm going to have to try to talk the missus into it. I want to spend Christmas down there at the Sun Bowl this year.
Oh, we have the best people in the world. We have the friendliest city in town. It's the biggest little town in America. That's what I call it, because we're about 850,000 strong. But about as safe a city as you can get to. El Paso has always been ranked in the top 5 of the safest cities in America, in cities with a population over 500,000. So it's a very safe city. It's a very friendly city, and just a great place. The weather is always, for the most part, it's always great. We do get a little snowfall every once in a while, but it's just a great place. I might be a little biased because I was born and raised and educated here in El Paso at UTEP, but it is a great city, and all the visitors who come say the same thing. So don't just take it from me, but take it to some of the people who have come and visited our city. Say, what a great place you all have here.
That sounds awesome. Last year, it was Central Michigan versus Washington State. Over the years, you've had historic players. You've had players that have gone on to great NFL success. Priest Holmes, Michael Floyd, Fred Mitchell, Jonathan Stewart. Tell us, how does it feel to have players that play in the Sun Bowl go on and succeed in the NFL?
Oh, you've mentioned some great players, and we've had others. We've had 3 Heisman trophies winners played in our game, with Tony Dorsett back in '75, Carson Palmer, who just recently retired from NFL, and of course Barry Sanders, one of the best running backs ever play. So, it's funny you asked, because our theme for this year's game is called "Hey, Who's Next?" And by that, our marketing department looked up some things. We've had over 1,300 NFL draft picks play in our Sun Bowl game. We've had 128 first-round draft picks. We've had 103 consensus All-Americans. We've had 80 different teams. We have 51 college football players who are inducted in the College Football Hall of Fame, and of course 3 Heisman winners. And like I said, it's exciting for our city to be able to bring these teams in so that they can watch some of the best college players in the country who are going on to great NFL careers. Again, it's been around for a long time. We do get some tremendous players to come, play here. Like I said, you mentioned some great ones, and along with those, like I said, the Priest Holmes and Michael Floyds, the LaDainian Tomlinsons, all those players have played our game, and they're just fun to watch.
Sounds amazing. So before we let you go, Bernie, where on social media, where on the web, where can we learn about the Sun Bowl, brought to you by Frosted Flakes?
Oh, absolutely. Well, actually, our Facebook handle is the Sun Bowl Association. Just look up Sun Bowl Association. Our Instagram account is at Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl, and of course, our Twitter page is at Tony the Tiger SB. very active on social media. Our media relations people here and all our people that work here do a fantastic job. Eddie Morelos heads up our media relations department, do a fantastic job on social media, and anybody can get on there and really learn a lot about what goes on at the Sun Bowl Association in El Paso. It's more than just a football game. We do a lot of other things. So hopefully everybody can just hook up to our social media pages and learn about the Sun Bowl. It's a great organization.
Sounds great, Bernie. It's been a pleasure having you on the show today.
Well, thank you for having me, and wish everybody a great Thanksgiving and some super holidays coming up.
Appliance Factory in Mattress Kingdom has products in stock and available to take home today. With 5 stores and almost 40 years in business, they are Ohio's appliance experts, and they help you to get the right product at the right price with a huge inventory. You can save 30 to 60% every day on everything from Bosch and Viking to LG, GE, and KitchenAid at unbeatable savings and in stock. Plus, Mattress Kingdom inside Appliance Factory has everything from Tempur-Pedic and Sealy, Stearns & Foster, and DreamCloud mattresses in stock. Stop by any one of Appliance Factory and Mattress Kingdom's 5 Ohio locations today or visit online at appliancefactory.com.
Good morning, Dreamhouse Nation. James Lewis of TDH. Joining us today is Judson Laipply. Judson, thank you for joining us today.
Well, my pleasure. I'm glad to be here.
So when did you first become interested in being a professional speaker?
So my first exposure to the world of professional speaking was actually through my parents. My father was a school teacher, and my mom was an entrepreneur and grew up in a small town called Bucyrus, Ohio. She ran a screen printing, T-shirt, tuxedo rental, sign making, kind of a graphic arts, like just hodgepodge, and in her business for several years. And they got real involved in Zig Ziglar or listening to Og Mandino and some of the original kind of first go-arounds of this concept of motivational professional speaking. And so I was listening to some of that when I was younger, didn't really pay much attention to it at the middle school age, more kind of, rolled my eyes like kids do at everything at that age. And then somewhere along the lines in high school, I started absorbing a little bit more of the messaging and the concepts and some of the philosophical ideas behind what some of these people were saying. And that really drove me to say, I really like this, but then also I like being in front of people and speaking. So my first exposure was really early on, but it wasn't until graduate school that I really sat down and took a hard look at what it would take to create a business out of doing that for a living.
Nice. And then I understand one of the first experiences you had with that was the Rotary 4-way test speech contest. Tell us about that and how it changed your life for the better.
Sure. So that was probably the first time. You never know if you're good at speaking until you really do it. And I'm from a family of 5. I'm the youngest child, and psychologically, I am textbook third child syndrome. I like attention. I was seeking attention. I was kind of this look at me personality. And during high school, I would always present, and I always enjoyed presenting. In my junior year, our English teacher announces this thing called the Rotary 4-way test speech contest. And for anyone who isn't involved with Rotary in any way, it's a 4-question thing, which is essentially question 1 is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill for all involved? And will it be beneficiary to all involved? And they were running a speech contest through the English class. And if you won the high school, you went and competed at the county level. And apparently the year before, our representative from our school had done really, really well and went on to, I think, win the county and actually compete at state. So our English teacher was kind of just like, they were still in school. If anyone's interested, this person over here is really amazing, but it would be good practice for you, and et cetera, et cetera. And so I was like, well, I want to do that, and wrote a speech and practice, and I won and beat the person who had won the previous year, went on and then won again the next year, and then got to go compete at the state level. So it was kind of my first exposure to completely creating a speech and then delivering a speech and then kind of gaining my footing on my particular style of speech.
Another area where obviously speech was very important for you. I understand you were the state president of the Ohio Association of Student Councils. Tell us a little bit about that.
I was. So in high school, I was involved in a lot of different leadership opportunities, and they always had this state council. And so I went to camp my sophomore year of high school, really enjoyed the type of people I met, and really enjoyed the engagement and the learning and the growth at that age. And I became more involved within the association. And during my junior year, I had the opportunity to run for the state board. And the way that they did the elections, it was essentially you were allowed to subtly campaign. You weren't allowed to create any signs. You weren't allowed to really pass anything out, but you were allowed to go around and talk to people and do that. And then at one point in one of the mornings before the entire 700 or 800 attendees, all the applicants or the people running had to give up and give a speech. And so I had memorized a couple of stories, wanted to do the speech kind of with no notes. And it was only a 3-minute speech, so it wasn't really, really long. And I would love to say that everybody just thought I was so amazing as they met me, but I think what really helped was my ability to give a really good speech in a short, because we only had an hour to write, practice, and then you had to give it to everybody. And so I had memorized those stories that I wanted to include and use that and walked away from the podium. And I think my style on stage really lended itself well to the appeal, because then they immediately went and voted, and whoever got the most votes got to be president for the following year. So that also gave me the opportunity to travel to other schools and other conferences and a national conference and present and speak on behalf of the Ohio Association of Student Councils.
So definitely, you love representing Ohio, it sounds like, and I understand that you have went to 2 major Ohio universities. You went to Bluffton University and Bowling Green, the Falcons. Tell us a little bit about your time at those places.
I did. So I kind of stayed in Ohio, and it was never even a question of whether I was going to leave or not. I just really liked Bluffton. I would play baseball through high school, and I wanted to play in college. I knew that I wouldn't be able to play at a higher level, if that makes sense. I knew enough about my own skill set to know, yes, I could probably go play in college, but I'm not going to make it my primary focus while I'm in college. And I went and visited the school called Bluffton University, where one of my friends from the previous year had gone, and he was playing baseball, and he was 100% in agreement. You can come play here. It's great. At the time in the 90s, there was a focus on athletics, but it was kind of secondary to your education. So I went to Bluffton, really enjoyed my time there, got really heavily involved in student government and other organizations, as well as played baseball, as well as, maintained my studies, and then decided I wanted to continue my education, partially because as I was developing the idea in my head, I wanted to be a speaker full time as a living. I knew that one of the things as human beings is we don't like to admit it sometimes, but we make snap judgments about people regardless of anything else. And one of the things that we sometimes have a tendency to elevate people for are advanced degrees. Somebody has a doctor in front of their name, no matter what, we automatically look at them with a little bit differentiation from somebody who doesn't have a doctorate. And so part of that was I wanted to get my master's degree to help separate me in the early stages of my career as someone who has done some research, who has done some education, and having that master's was a good call. And there was a program at Bowling Green State University that aligned with my particular area of study and the things that I really enjoyed. And that was the Recreation and Sports Management Division. So it's actually called the SMART Division, the Sports Management, Recreation, and Tourism Division, because I was a recreation management undergraduate. And what I actually studied there was how to use games and activities to teach leadership and emotional intelligence, because I'm a big fan of active learning. And if I do a training for a company or an organization, I enjoy and think it's more powerful for people to participate as they learn, as opposed to just sitting in a room and trying to absorb a lecture.
Oh, definitely. I agree. Making it more interactive, the better.
Absolutely.
And then, of course, along with that education, you have your certification in CSP. What's that mean?
So I belong to an association called the National Speakers Association, and it's the governing body. I mean, it's not really a governing body as much as it is. It's an organization that helps bring together people who speak for a living in some capacity, meaning you make your living by standing in front of a group and training or presenting or doing sales presentations. And there's a lot of different people who do a lot of different things. But one of the things we have is the certification that requires you to meet a certain level of both financial and proficiency levels. And so you apply, you go through a process, your peers evaluate you, and if you meet all the criteria and you get a high enough score on the evaluation of your actual presentation, you can earn the designation, which is called the CSP, or the Certified Speaking Professional. So it's held by about 10% of the speaking population, and it's a way for meeting planners or someone who is going to possibly hire a speaker. If they have that designation, then they know that they've already gotten kind of a seal of approval from somebody else. Because it's really easy for people to say, yeah, I'm amazing. You should totally hire me to speak to your group because I'm so awesome. But at least here, you've got some external justification to say, okay, this person at least has some proficiencies in what it is we're looking for them to do.
A lot of the speakers are able to educate, but I understand the thing that separates you from everyone else is you're able to entertain as well. Tell us how you're able to do that.
So I was in graduate school and I studied this area of psychology called emotional intelligence, which is really new in the mid-90s. And one of the things that I learned a lot about was how we as human beings retain information and what keeps our attention and how people remember things. And part of it is able to create a neurological mindset that is oftentimes wrapped around emotion. So emotion is something that fires up our brain in such a way that it often makes us pay more attention and actually leaves a longer imprint on the brain itself. I am fortunately very lucky to have had a pretty normal life, and I haven't been faced with huge amounts of tragedy, or at that point in time in my life hadn't really dealt with a lot. So I kind of went the route of humor and started studying comedy and studying how to entertain along with how to educate. Because I think we can all agree, if something is entertaining and educational, we can get the best of both worlds. If something is just entertaining, that's great, and that's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that. If something is just educational, that's great, and that's totally fine. But if you combine the two of them together, I think you kind of have a win-win as far as keeping people's attention and giving them something to think about later on down the road. Because my goal when I step on stage is to give people joy in the moment, but then also to give them some food for thought, some information, some things to mill over, some things to ponder, so that maybe they can have lasting joy later on in life.
That is awesome. Now, where is the best place for the Dreamhouse Nation to contact you to book you for a speaking engagement?
My website is the best way. So my website is judsonlaipply.com, or if all else fails, you can oftentimes just type in the evolution of dance. That's something that people have a tendency to remember a little bit better, and you will be able to find me no problem that way.
Yeah, I was going to say, shoot, I owe you an apology. I almost haven't, or I almost forgot to talk about that, which obviously our listeners, that's where they know you from. Tell us what it was like to be one of the first world's celebrities in YouTube.
Well, it's funny because I imagine that some people might be like, I don't know who this guy is at all. What's he talking about? Like, he's acting like people should know who he is. I was very lucky that early in my career, along the lines of combining the entertainment aspect, a good friend of mine, a good mentor, basically said, you have to do something unique. You come up with what they call kind of an element from a performance standpoint, a piece of your time on stage that is so authentic, is so you, and in some way or another just becomes your signature. And one of my themes that I talk a lot about is change and evolution and recognizing that everything changes, but not everything evolves. And sometimes we get so wrapped up in thinking that changes are either good or bad and trying to determine whether they are, when recognizing that the world is just always moving. So I wanted to do something that highlighted things always changing, things always evolving, and not hitting on whether they're good or bad, but just demonstrating that things kind of change. And so I came up with this idea for a dance routine because I'm a fan of dancing. I'm not a professional dancer. I've never been trained in dance, but I can dance. I have some rhythm from some of my athletic ability. And I created this thing called the evolution of dance. And it is the last 60 years of dance moves all in one, at the time, 6-minute routine, which I then took a video of after performing for many, many years and uploaded it to a little tiny site at the time, which is about 10 months old, called YouTube. I needed to do that so I could get an embedding code so I could copy it into my MySpace profile. So that will tell you what's going on in 2006. And then luckily for me, it caught a spark. It aligned with people. They enjoyed it. And people started sharing the link to the YouTube video with other people. And I had, for lack of a better term, I had the first viral video on YouTube of all time. So in 2006, I was the first video to hit 25 million views, 50 million views, 100 million views. And even for a few years, I had the most watched video on YouTube till around the time that Justin Bieber hit puberty.
Nice. So, and you ended up doing a trilogy of that. Was your first one your favorite, or which one was your favorite?
So the trilogy came out. So the first one is by far my favorite. And I think it's like most things in life, the first one, the factor of newness and surprise and, not knowing what to expect is always going to trump later versions of things. The second version we created at the time, we needed to get some streaming rights and it was in 2009, and it was still kind of the wild, wild west when it came to music and internet. And so some of the publishing houses didn't want to give us the streaming rights. So I was unable to use some of the songs that I wanted to. And then the third one came around the 10th anniversary. And of the three, the first one is by far my favorite. But then when I perform live, I have a blended version. So some of the songs from the last two, especially the third one, because time has passed and it would be hypocritical of me not to continue to evolve the evolution of dance itself. And so there's an additional about 2.5 minutes on the end of the original version of when I perform it live.
And then, of course, because of how popular that was, you've kind of been incorporated into pop culture, from like Jimmy Fallon having his variations of it to being in Weezer's music video. Which is one of your favorite experiences?
Being in the Weezer music video was a lot of fun. I mean, I've always been a fan of Weezer, and so to get to go out there and both be in the video and meet them. And what's really cool about it is that video won a Grammy for Best Music Video that year. So I can, in a very roundabout way, it might be a bit of a stretch, but call myself a Grammy-winning artist.
Nice.
But that was a lot of fun. To be part of pop culture is really enjoyable. When the video took off, I was kind of in this weird space of, okay, because it was brand new. The idea of something going viral was so new in 2009. You didn't really know what to expect. In 2008, if somebody said, hey, I saw a video of you on the internet, you would probably be worried or concerned. Like you were afraid of, wait, who's got video footage of me and what was I doing? I don't remember. Versus now people are trying to go viral. And so to have my kind of part of my identity be cemented in a moment of pop culture is really a lot of fun, and it's something I'll always be able to have. And so one of my favorite things of all of that is I was the answer to a Jeopardy question once. So that's something that really makes me fun to have your name associated with a Jeopardy question.
That is awesome. Yeah, I was going to say that is historic. I mean, that is one of those things that, just really makes you out there in the zeitgeist of pop culture. So before we let you go, where on social media, where on the web, where can our listeners find out more about you?
One of the benefits of having a unique name is I get to pretty much own all of my own handles. So everything for me is essentially Judson, Judson, Laipply, Laipply. Instagram handle, Twitter handle, website, all of those things are essentially just Judson Laipply or JudsonLaipply.com.
That is awesome. It has been a pleasure having you on the show today.
My pleasure. Thanks so much for having me. And I'll leave everybody with my famous line, so to say, and that's life isn't always the party you'd hoped for, but while we're here, we might as well dance.
Appliance Factory in Mattress Kingdom has products in stock and available to take home today. With 5 stores and almost 40 years in business, they are Ohio's appliance experts, and they help you to get the right product at the right price with a huge inventory. You can save 30 to 60% every day on everything from Bosch and Viking to LG, GE, and KitchenAid at unbeatable savings and in stock. Plus, Mattress Kingdom inside Appliance Factory has everything from Tempur-Pedic and Sealy, Stearns & Foster, and DreamCloud mattresses in stock. Stop by any one of Appliance Factory and Mattress Kingdom's 5 Ohio locations today, or visit online at appliancefactory.com.
Good morning, Dreamhouse Nation. James Lewis of TDH. Joining us today is Paul Weingard. He is from Schylling Toys. We are excited about having him on the show, but before we get to Paul, we're going to do our listeners' favorite thing, which is give out our email address. It is dreamhousenation@gmail.com. That's dreamhousenation@gmail.com. And our listeners know when we do that, that means we're going to be giving out some prizes. So write in to win those prizes. Paul, thank you for joining us today.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
So who is Schylling?
Well, Schylling is a toy and gift company. We've been around for over 40 years, and we create distinctive playthings, all kinds of familiar classic toys, traditional toys. Many of our toys have been known for generations. And sometimes we're thought of as a retro toy company because we do make these familiar toys from the past, like Jack-in-the-Boxes and tea sets, sock monkeys, and wind-up tin robots. And our products definitely have a nostalgic quality, and that's a big part of their appeal. These kinds of toys, they bring back fond memories of childhood and simpler times. And a lot of those memories can be very powerful. But we also love creating new toys, too. And we have a broad line of products, all kinds of products from the past and current products as well.
That is awesome. I was going to say, people do love when you can remember and, and just share with your children that your childhood experiences. So how did it get started over 40 years ago?
Well, let's see. The company was founded in the 1970s by Jack Schylling, and Jack had recently graduated from college when he discovered this wind-up flying bird toy called the Tim Bird. It was designed by a company in France, and it's a very simple but elegant toy. You wind it up, it flaps its wings, and it flies like a real bird. And Jack contacted the manufacturer, and soon he became the representative and distributor in the U.S. market. But we still sell the Tim Bird today, and believe it or not, all these years later, even though we live in a world with, filled with electronic flying toys, drones, and RC helicopters, there's still a place for this magic and simplicity of a toy with no batteries, no charging necessary. Just wind it up and it flies away. Jack actually retired from the company about 10 years ago, but he still plays a very active role, an advisory role in the company. And, we're very fortunate to have his continued involvement. But from that simple start, led the beginnings of a company that's rooted in, we'll say, classic toys, vintage toys, and simple toys in many ways. So we carry on that spirit today.
That is awesome. So what is the vision of Shylling's?
Well, that's a good question. At Schylling, we make toys for children of all ages, toys that are fun and imaginative with open-ended play. We live in a world filled with screens, and electronics are a big part of life. They certainly provide tremendous benefits, but at Schylling, it's our goal to create toys that provide an alternative to screen time. Play can inspire creative thinking. It helps children explore their environments and try new things, solve problems. And we hope children will play with our products and not only develop life skills, but also create lifelong memories, those kinds of experiences we were talking about earlier. Those nostalgic experiences are tremendously powerful. And that's our dream. If we think about, what we could dream of for the future of children to play with our toys, it's to have those kinds of, those memories, those fond memories of the past.
Nice. So where is the best place to buy Schylling toys?
That's a good question. So Schylling toys are sold in thousands of shops, large and small, really in the U.S. and actually around the world. But the best place to find Schylling toys are in locally owned independent toy shops and gift shops. These specialty toy shops generally carry the largest selection of our products. But our products are also available in major national retailers, department stores, online retailers, and also at our website, Schylling.com.
Nice.
We also sell lava lamps. We're the maker of lava lamps, and so you can find lava lamps on lavalamp.com as well.
So what brands do you work with?
Well, many of our products are sold under the Schylling brand, especially those classic, we'll call them vintage or retro toys. But as I said, Lava Lamp is one of our brands, and it's a brand that continues to be extraordinarily popular, again, over 50 years after its creation. Recently, we acquired the Big Wheel brand. It's a beloved ride-on. Most people do recognize it. When Big Wheel launched back in the 70s, it really revolutionized the children's ride-on category and has been thrilling children ever since. Every year there's actually a Big Wheel event across the country with adult fans racing on their big wheels, it's just pretty amazing that after all these years, there's so much love for that product line. And then also, most recently, we've had great success with our brand called Nido. And Nido is a brand of stretchy, tactile, sensory products that we created about 7 years ago, and it's been growing ever since. At the beginning, it was just one super soft, stretchy, neon-colored squeeze ball, which we called the Groovy Glob. But today, it's developed into over 40 Nido products like stretchy noodles and colorful squishy donuts. And we have a line of collectible, squishable figures called the Nido Dojis. And it's been extremely popular, trending on social media, on TikTok and Instagram, and really been a phenomenal success. So we mix a little bit of the classic and also products with a very contemporary feel as well.
Oh, definitely. But I mean, you've got such a wide variety: strawberry shortcake, pound puppies, sock monkeys. Oh my gosh,
Sure.
My Little Ponies, Care Bears, Curious George. I mean, there's just so many great Thomas and Friends. How do I forget to say Thomas and Friends?
Yeah, many, many classic products in our line for sure. And that, that's part of what we really love to think about at Schylling when someone comes into our showroom and they see our products lined up. Every person, it doesn't matter the age, will walk around the room and say, "Oh, I had one of those," or "I remember one of those," or "I'd love to have one of those." And that's kind of the nostalgia at work, but it's also an opportunity, as you say, to share those memories with young children today.
And then, of course, when I have a guest on the show, I always show it to my research and development team, which is just my son. And he was really impressed by your Steelworks toys. He thought that was the best line.
Yeah. Wow, that's fantastic. Well, we love Steelworks, and it's got that classic kind of construction, real metal parts, and all kinds of building opportunities for children. It's great.
Exactly. I mean, that seems like one of those toys that teach STEM learning techniques and all, and teach, design. And I mean, just such a great educational product.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Although we don't really promote our products as educational, they certainly do have educational benefits. And, definitely we focus on products that inspire open-ended or imaginative play activities. But studies have definitely shown that there's a direct link between open-ended play and academic performance. So children that are given the opportunity to engage in open-ended play definitely do better in school. And that's something that, we value a lot at Schylling.
And then, of course, at Schylling, you've won many awards over the years. Could you share one or two with us?
Sure, absolutely. Well, we certainly have won many awards, trade recognition for our products, and every year we definitely see some new awards. I think the award we're most proud of is our Big Wheel, which was inducted in 2009 into the National Toy Hall of Fame in Rochester, New York. And we have a number of products that are also classic toys that are in the National Toy Hall of Fame as well. So that's really something we're quite proud of.
Yeah, I can imagine a lot of your Fisher-Price line is definitely in that Hall of Fame.
Some of those products are as well. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, just such amazing options, such creativity, such great toys. Why do they make such great holiday presents?
That's a perfect question. Well, I think Schylling Toys look absolutely amazing under the tree or on any holiday gift opportunity. So many times when you see kind of a classic holiday environment in a movie or a television show, it's Schylling toys that are being used as props because it really evokes that kind of those classic toy memories. So that's one thing we love about our products at the holidays. But also many of our toys make great stocking stuffers. They some of our smaller novelty products have a nice low price and they're smaller. So I think we just have something for every age child, and they really look great in a holiday setting.
Definitely. Like you were saying about the stockings, obviously the wall crawlers, I think those would go great in a stocking. I mean,
Absolutely.
Shoot, the sugar rush, the scented, the markers. I mean, heck, even the sea monkeys, depending on the size of the stocking. because I go overboard. I mean, heck, my boy, unfortunately, he could probably fit most of the toys in the line in his stocking because you know how it is. They got those really big ones nowadays. And, of course, I had to get him one of those.
That's perfect.
Heck yeah. But, yeah, and then I can't believe when I was naming some of your iconic toys earlier, I didn't even say anything about Tonka.
Right, absolutely, yes. We sell Tonka products, and that's a fantastic line, but very, very well known.
Yeah, I mean, it's just amazing the amount of options that Schylling offers and just the fun and excitement that you can bring to the holidays.
Yes, it's a tremendous range of products.
Definitely. So any secrets, any things for 2023 that we should be looking forward to?
Well, we have a lot of great new products coming up, and we typically look to our current brands to launch new products in them. As I mentioned, our Nido brand continues to be very popular. So we've got a number of new Nido products. We've got a product that we call it Mac and Squeeze, and so they're squeezable, stretchy noodles packed like mac and cheese.
Ooh.
And that's really been a fun new item for us. We also, kind of building on the Lava Lamp brand, we have a line we call Lava Lab. So again, this is a STEM product line designed around the classic lava lamp shape, but it has science activities like growing crystals and making volcanoes, but you can also make your own lava lamp. So that's really been a fun new offering for us. And then in the truly classics like Jack in the Boxes, we have a unicorn Jack in the Box that has gentle lights inside the unicorn when it pops up. So it's a great toy, but it also makes nice room decor.
That is so cool. So it sounds like with Schylling, there's somebody for all ages and all people on your Christmas list.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is great. So before we let you go, where on social media, where on the web, where can we find out more about Schylling?
Certainly you can find us at schylling.com and lavalamp.com, as well as on our Instagram and Facebook pages. And then there's a lot of folks out there creating content on TikTok and other social media platforms. We just have a lot of fans out there. So it's great to see that. We love when we see our fans creating content for Schylling product.
That is so cool. I was going to say that must be great to have fans that are so dedicated, so passionate about your products.
Absolutely. And, it's amazing. We get letters all the time from people, young children, but also people, 60, 70, 80 years old, still loving our product. So that's really something. I don't think most toy companies can claim that kind of age range of appeal.
Definitely. Exactly. Yeah. Most of them are limited to a time period, an era, but it seems like with Schylling, they're just ageless and timeless.
That's our hope.
That is awesome. Well, Paul, it has been a pleasure having you on this show today, letting our listeners know more about Schylling Toys. Feel free to, anytime you got a big new announcement, give us a call and we will have you back on the show.
All right. Thank you very much. I really appreciate you having me.
That wraps it up for this week's show. Hope you can join us again next week for this Dream House. This has been James Lewis. Enjoy your weekend.